Alrighty guys, welcome back to my new series where I learn how to use Python while teaching you guys. And while this is currently week 4 part 1, and there are going to be multiple parts, but in this part we're going to be covering about logical operators. We're going to be covering logical operators. So basically, what is logical operators? There are three kinds of logical operators. The first one is AND, second one is OR, and the third one is NOT. So wait, I'll get into like what they do inside the video when I'm explaining them. This is just a quick intro, and on my like part 3, I didn't go through my new setup. I added these bed sheets. Apparently, I had to cut my bed sheet to like get these up here. Alright, so let's not waste any more time and get into learning about logical operators. Alrighty, so let's take a few examples on logical operator. But before we take a few examples, what is a logical operator? Logical operators evaluate multiple choice conditions, and we can use the OR and the NOT logical operator. So the AND logical operator is true if both conditions are true. The OR logical operator is true if at least one condition is true, and the NOT logical operator turns true into false and false into true. So let's take a few examples. So let's say you eat dessert if you finish dinner and your parents say yes. So I will make a variable called finished underscore dessert DESERT, and I will set that equal to true. And let's make one more variable called parents underscore said underscore yes equals to true. Okay, and now let's write like an if statement. So something like if finished dessert and parents said yes, print uh dessert time with an exclamation. So since my finished dessert is true and parents said yes is true, if I run the command, it's gonna say me desert time. Although if like I change this to false, or any even if I change that to false, f has to be capital. There, false. And now if I run the command, it's not gonna say anything because the condition was not met. For the AND logical operator, both conditions must be true. So like both has to be true. So yeah, that's the AND logical operator. Actually, let's take another example on it. If like this wasn't clear enough, let me just convert these to like a okay, there it's converted to this. Okay, let's take another example. Let's say you can play video games if it's weekend and your homework is done. So I'll make a variable called is underscore weekend and set it equal to true, and homework underscore done equals to, let's say this false. Okay, so I'll make an if statement. If is weekend and homework underscore done, print you can play video games. I can like yeah, I mean this is also fine since one is like since we're using the AND logical operator, both must be true. So if this is true and I run the command, it's gonna say you can play video games. But since both weren't true at the first time, like the first one, like if since even if one is false, then it's not gonna say anything. You could keep like make an else clause or like an else thing and say something like else print you cannot cannot play video games. Okay, if I run the command, it's gonna say you cannot play video games. But if I like turn this to true and run the command, it's gonna say you can play video games. Okay, so that's basically it for the and logical operator. Let me just convert these to a comment real quick. Okay, there you go. Now let's talk about the OR logical operator. So for the OR logical operator, at least one must be true. So at least one condition must be true. So let's take another example. Let's say that you'll watch a movie if your friends want to, or there's nothing else to do. So let's make two variables. First variable something like friends underscore want underscore to. So if friends want to watch movie, I'll keep that to true, and let's do nothing else to do. These are getting too long. Too false. Okay. And now let's make an if statement. So if friends want to, or nothing else to do, I will print movie time. Let's make an else too. Else something like print no movie. Okay, so if I run the command, it's gonna say movie time because one of the conditions are true, and if I like change this to false, so now since both conditions are false, let's see, since both conditions are false, it's gonna say no movie because for the or logical operator to work, at least one must be true. But if both are false, it doesn't work. If I change this to true and run the command, it's gonna say movie time. Okay, so let's take one more example actually. Yeah, because these examples are it's a bit fun. Okay, so let me just turn these two comments real quick. Okay, so the next example, let's say that you'll order pizza if you're hungry or just bored. So let me just add a bunch of this, so like yeah, there's space, and maybe just go control up. That makes it much better to watch. Okay, so I will make a variable called hungry and keep it equal to false, set it equal to false, and one more called bored and set that equal to something like true. Okay, so I will make an if statement. If hungry or bored, print something like um ordering pizza tonight. Tonighty. TONIGHT. Tonight. Okay, so if I run the command right now, it's gonna give me ordering pizza tonight because one of these two conditions are true. If like both conditions are true and I run the command TRUE and I run the command, it's still gonna be ordering pizzas. Although if both conditions are false and I run the command, it's not gonna print anything. For that I can add like an else and print something like no pizza tonight. Okay, now if I run the command, it's gonna say no pizza tonight. Okay, sure. Now let's go to the or logical operator. But before that, let me just yeah, turn these to a comment because that makes it easier to this thing. Okay, so the not logical operator, the not logical operator, it flips true to false and false to true. Okay, so let's say that you'll go. Let's take an example. So let's say that you'll go outside if you're not tired. So I will make a variable called tired and set that equal to false. And I will make an if statement. If not tired, then print something like going outside for a walk. Okay, so if not tired, so if tired is like true, going outside for a walk. If I would run the command, it's gonna say going outside for a walk. If this were true, it won't say anything. I could add an else, but you guys get the gist of it, right? Okay, so let me just turn this to a comment real quick. And now let's take like another example. Let's say that alarm should ring if you're not awake. So I'll make a variable called awake and keep that equal to false and make an if. So if not awake, AWAKE, if not awake, I will print something like um wake up, wake up, alarm is ringing, dot dot dot, ringing. Guys, sometimes like my typos are it's yeah, weird typos. Okay, so now if I run the command, it's gonna say wake up, alarm's ringing. And if this is set to true, and again, not converts true to false, so awake equals false technically right now because there is not. So if I like run this command, it's not going to say me anything because awake is not true, if you guys know what I mean. It's like the same thing even if this thing was false. So if this was false and if not awake, it's like the same thing. It just converts my true boolean to like a false and false to true. So yeah, you guys could like use like that. So yeah, that's basically it for the not logical operators. No, for logical operators. So the and logical operator is true if both conditions are true, or logical operator is true if one of at least one condition is true, and not logical operator turns true to false and false to true. Alright, so that's basically it for this video. If you guys found this video helpful or even at least fun, make sure to like, share, subscribe. Liking helps my algorithm, sharing this video could help someone else, and subscribing is like a cherry on top. And I'll catch you guys on the next video. Peace!